My name is Nick Gebelt. I'm a bankruptcy attorney here in Whittier, California, and I practice in chapters 7, 11, and 13. Over the years, I've had a lot of questions from clients, prospective clients, and former clients, and also fellow bankruptcy attorneys, asking me for explanations of various aspects of bankruptcy law. So I'm making this series of videos to let you, the viewer, have some sense of what's going on. Chapter 7 is the most commonly used chapter in the bankruptcy code, and the big picture goal in a Chapter 7 is just to wipe debts out in one fell swoop. The whole process takes 5 to 6 months, and at the end, the debts are just erased without having to make payments at all to any of the creditors. Well, you can imagine from the creditor's perspective, this is a pretty heavy hit, so there have to be some limitations. There are 3 main limitations that can either make or break a Chapter 7 case. Number 1, getting in the door in the first place. Congress has given us a 2-part test. Number 2, a limitation on the kinds of debts you can get rid of. It turns out there are some kinds of debts that are not dischargeable in bankruptcy. And number 3, there's a limit on what you get to keep in bankruptcy. You get to keep some stuff, but in a Chapter 7 bankruptcy, there is a potential for you to lose assets. Alright, in this video today, we're going to take a look at the first of these 3 limitations. The next video will take a look at the second on getting questions of dischargeability, and the third will take a look at limitations on what you get to keep. So, getting in the door in the first place. How do we do that? As I said, Congress has given us a 2-part test to determine eligibility for bankruptcy protection. If you pass the first part of the test, you're in. We don't have to go any further. If you fail the first part of the test, then the second part of the test becomes the be-all and end-all. In both parts of the test, we start off with a quantity called current monthly income. And it's not what you think it is, unless you think like Congress, in which case you probably need some psychiatric care. Alright, so what is current monthly income? Current monthly income is the 6-month arithmetic average of gross income from all sources for the 6 full calendar months prior to the month you file your bankruptcy papers. Now, a couple of comments. First, I want to emphasize this is gross income, meaning it's before you've paid out any taxes, before you've paid out your Social Security, and before you've covered any living expenses. And it's from all sources. So it certainly includes your income from your job, but let's say your dad gave you a little extra cash to help you out. That's income for this purpose. Maybe you sold that old car because you needed a little extra cash. It's still income for bankruptcy purposes. So we take that income from all sources for the 6 full calendar months prior to the month we file the papers. We divide by 6, and that 6-month arithmetic average of gross is called current monthly income. In the first part of the test, we annualize that by multiplying by 12 to get your annualized current monthly income, which might not look like what was on your income tax return last year, because remember, it's just based on the last 6 months, not the last tax year. And then we compare the result to the median income for a family of your size in California. If you're below the median income, you're in. We don't have to go any further. If you're above the median income, we have to go to the second part of the test. The second part of the test is a bit complicated. For purposes of this video, therefore, I'm going to strip away the technicalities and just get to the core idea. We take that current monthly income, the 6-month average of gross from all sources. This time we don't annualize. Instead, we do some subtracting, calculate disposable monthly income. So, we subtract out the 6-month arithmetic average of gross, the 6-month arithmetic average of taxes and Social Security for the same 6-month period from the gross income. We subtract out living expenses, including the IRS standard living expenses and any additional living expenses you may have. And the result is disposable monthly income. To get you into that Chapter 7, we'd like that to be negative. It can be a little bit positive, but I think you're poking the beast with a sharp stick if you file with a positive disposable monthly income. By the way, you might think, well, IRS standard expenses, that doesn't really cover my situation. Perhaps not. But you can include additional living expenses if you can convince the judge they are legitimate. Typical examples are things like payments you're making on a car. If your mortgage payments are larger than the IRS standard expenses, you can do that. If you are buying health insurance or you're paying for child care or child support or alimony, those are legitimate expenses. When the smoke all clears and we've got that disposable income, we'd like that to be negative. If it is, we can put you into the Chapter 7. If it isn't, we may need to consider filing under Chapters 11 or perhaps 13. One final note. If your debts are not primarily consumer debts, what I've just described is not applicable. So, for example, if you're filing a personal bankruptcy and your debts are primarily business debts, then you don't have to go through this two-part test. Next time, as I said, we'll take a look at the limitation on the kinds of debts you cannot get rid of in a Chapter 7 bankruptcy. I look forward to that next video, and thank you for watching. Bye-bye.